into Predaking.
Hello, Transformers fans. This is Soundvox with Lego Transformers Predaking. Now, we've been waiting for this moment for the last 2 months now, seeing each individual Predacon. And finally, the whole team is combined into their superior form, the giant Titan Predaking. He's a combiner made out of the 5 Transformers. So let's take a look at him and just talk about this build. So let's take a look here at Predaking. We'll look at each individual Transformer robot and talk about them. So here we have Dive Bomb as the arm. He's the right arm. And so, like most G1 combiners, he can move forward and down, up and down on this rotation here. That's about all that a G1 combiner could do. But also, because Dive Bomb has a hinge where his legs are, we can kind of get a little bit of movement out of his arm there, his wrist movement. It's nothing great, but it's something different. So you can have the sword in either hand, and the hands can lift up. Now the hands, of course, are add-on parts. Just like in the Generation 1 combiners, the feet and the hands and the heads were all add-on parts. Combiner Wars, they were able to contain the second head, but they still had to add on the feet and the hands. So that's Dive Bomb's contribution. His other contribution is this excellent winged backpack here. If you look at the back of Predaking, which I'm not going to show the back too much because it looks pretty skeletal. A lot of empty stud holes here. But you see the backpack from Dive Bomb looks good as the wings on Predaking. And from different angles, especially when looking from the front, you see those feathers sticking out. And that really makes him look good. Now, one of the problems with Predaking is he is pretty front heavy. So as you can see when I move him, he starts to pitch forward a little bit. Okay, now let's look at his feet. So here we have Tantrum. Tantrum makes up one leg, and Headstrong makes up the other leg. Their color schemes are great, and the way their legs are folded, and they are attached onto these little feet pieces that were their big cannons. Now, unfortunately, to actually connect them to the main body of the main robot, I had to use a part that I built here. And these parts here connect the waist and the legs to Razor Claw. In the actual toy, I believe Razor Claw's back legs would fold down and connect somehow to the heads, probably, of Tantrum and Headstrong. Now here I added this piece too. This plate makes him look more even. Without it, his legs look like skeletal, alien kind of legs. So this gives him a more fold out look. So for Razor Claw, he makes up the chest and the torso. And so basically, he's almost transformed into his robot mode. The only difference is instead of his hands being sticking out, his legs are turned around backwards and put up into the chest to kind of make it look pretty cool. The double hinge here comes important because the bricks actually make a solid link so he doesn't just tip over all the time. And then the headpiece connects to Razor Claw directly. Unfortunately, the head cannot move, but I did make Predaking's face using 5 studs up front and 4 studs in the back. And by doing so, I was able to get this nice effect with his eyes. You can see they're translucent plastic pieces, orange. They came with, I believe, a Minecraft set. So if I take a bright light and put it behind him, let's see if you can see it without, you get some light piping back there. Let's try zooming in and taking a better look at that. Okay, so it's not the greatest of light piping, but it does look pretty cool. And when you look directly at him, you can see like there's the lighter pieces, and then the inside it kind of make him look like he has pupils in there. He's got these cool side pieces that have his little stalks, smokestacks or whatever coming out of his head. And now let's look at our last component, Rampage. Now Rampage, because he was so articulate, because he has this ball joint here and Technic pieces here, he has more motion. He's more like the Combiners Wars, where he actually has like an elbow movement, though it's not very strong. So the basic movement is still a good movement. And then we have the sword. And the sword, I just basically took a Technic piece, another Technic piece, a little pin, put a little horn in it, and got this cool Ninjago piece. This came off from a Ninjago Green Ninja car. And it looks like a super great super sword for Predaking. Something he might have like in the Earth Wars game or something. That's what it reminds me of. So that is Predaking in his full form. So now let's do some quick size comparisons. Here we have Thrust next to Predaking. You can see that Thrust being just about the height of each individual Predacon, but a skinnier build. He is much smaller than their combined form. Predaking is a giant monster compared to Thrust. Then let's compare him to Megatron. Now Megatron was a much larger build, and he only comes up to the bottom of Predaking. So he just goes above the legs a little bit. So Predaking still towers over Megatron, making him a fearsome foe. And then we have a minifigure. The poor little safari man probably doesn't know what to do now because he's so afraid. He sees this giant robot made out of the giant robot animals that he's been running from all this time. And then just to compare all three together, the minifigure, Thrust, and Megatron, to see how they all are dwarfed by the giant known as Predaking. We'll compare him to a Voyager scale Transformers figure. This is Cyclonus, and even Cyclonus is not as tall as the Predaking. So the Predaking, you could see, it got pretty big in its build when you combined all these smaller Lego Transformers together. And then a deluxe, I'll use Huffer. He's kind of like a medium-sized deluxe. And Predaking once again towers over Huffer. If you like these Lego Transformers videos and want to see more, I have many more on the way. So please subscribe to get the latest and greatest updates on Lego Transformers. Thanks for watching.